Alright, so when I posted that last video of the first ride, and it sounded like there's marbles in the motor, I figured out why. So I adjusted the valves like 30 times, and a few times I did it right. And the last time I did it, I must have had too many Coronas or something, because the crank was 180 degrees off. So when I adjusted it, when it was in the correct position, there was like a 1/4 inch of play in the valves. So that's why it sounded terrible, had no power. It still ran okay, it just didn't have any power. So I just did it again, sober, realized there was that much play, made sure it was on the right compression stroke, not the intake stroke, adjusted it. It fired up first kick, which I never kick started because it never starts. First kick, dead cold, haven't ran it in a few days. Sounds way better, has the normal amount of noise, just a little bit, no marbles in the motor. Runs way better, idles better. We'll see if it'll start by kicking it real quick. It's been like an hour since I fired it up, but we'll just see if it'll even start. I'll do this one-handed. So it sounds 100 times better already just from the valve adjustment being done correctly. I've done it a million times, but the last time I did it, I must have did it wrong. But it seems to fire up and run and idle and rev up good. So I'm going to take it out the way it sits before I mess with any jets, see what kind of power it's got now that the valves can actually open, and then go from there with the jetting. I'm also doing some home improvements over here, so don't worry about that. My bathroom vent had paint flaking off it, like someone repainted it at some point, and it's been like that for the 3 years I've owned this house. And every time I look at it when I'm pooping, it drives me nuts how bad it looked. So I pulled it off and decided to sand it a little bit and just put some paint on it. But yeah, so I was dumb or drunk or something when I did the valves last. Did them wrong. Didn't think I did, but I did. So now they're right. So yeah, as soon as it gets up to like 50, 51, 52, I'll take that for a ride and up down the street again just to see if it's got some power, because it was embarrassing how slow it was the other day when I took it out. Like, I was about to throw this 212 in the trash and buy another 140. But now that I know the problem and fixed it, hopefully this thing rips, because I'm about to go whop this thing up and down the street, let the neighbors know what's up. Alright, let's go give it a rip, see what happens. It's kind of warmed up, not all the way, but good enough. Fifth gear. Fifth gear from 40 for revs. Alright, so it runs a lot better. And look at that, I got neutral first try. This thing absolutely rips. That's the first time getting on it since it's been running good. So we'll do one more rip back to my house. I don't want to fly too much down my street, but this thing's a rocket. Destroys the 140. So we'll give it another rip real quick. So, first rip into the wind, not even winding it all the way out. We hit a top speed of 60.1 without even trying. Like, that wasn't even anywhere near all the way out in fifth. That was just kind of cruising into the wind, up the hill. This thing is got power in first and second and third, that's for sure. Like stupid low end power. I'll have to ride my buddy's 190s again to compare the power down low versus the 190, because people say the 212 is about the same as the 190 up top. It's just the down low that's a little bit better. But wow, I'm pretty stoked on that. I'm gonna down jet it to the original size jets because it does feel a little bit rich still. All right, so got the tube and the tire on this thing. Super easy, literally no tools. Just pop it on with your hand. Stupid easy, took 30 seconds. I was gonna do the front tire too, but it was flat, but it holds air. She's been dead for, I think, like over a year. So it's been plugged in for like 2 hours and it actually makes noise now. It clicks, but it still doesn't move. But this thing, yeah, it's been sitting for a couple of years without even being used, so I'm sure the battery is 100% dead. But that was fun. First ride on it with actual power. Alright, so it's the next day. I just went through all my jets. It had a 125 main jet in it. That's what I put in it. That's bigger than what it came with. The smallest one I could find is a 120. So that's what I put in, because that's what came with it. I bought a jet kit that only went up and not anything smaller, but I should not need smaller. So it still has one size bigger pilot jet in it, but now it's the factory main jet. I'm going to try to take it up the street and see if it runs any better with that. I built a license plate bracket, just a temporary one so I can ride it around today. It's kind of flimsy and floppy, but that's just for today so I can ride it around without getting stopped. So that'll work until I figure out a better bracket with that tail light. My little, probably can't see because I'm painting it black, but my little bracket I built out of some angle, basically a little piece of like door trim angle, works. This doesn't spin, it stays where it needs to stay. Just a grinder, drill the hole. So I'm going to try to fire it up and take it out and see if it makes a difference. Alright, let's see what happens. Could use some air. Dies out, but it starts right back up, so it might just be, could just be me doing that, I don't know, maybe it's these fuel lines, I'm not sure, but we'll take a little cruise. After I let off the gas, when it likes to load up. So I don't know what that's about. Like when I let off the gas and let it coast, and then try to get back in it, that's when it likes to do that. So maybe my pilot isn't big enough, or small enough, I don't know. Let's make her rip though, we'll just give her. still does it. But from what I understand is when you're off the gas, coasting like that, that's the pilot jet that takes care of that. So I feel like when I do that, the pilot's either too rich, so it's bringing in too much fuel on the decel, and that's loading it up, or it's too lean, it's not bringing enough, that's why it's backfiring, and then it just doesn't have the fuel in there once I give it gas again, and it dies until I restart it. I'm not sure, but power feels pretty good, but it's still flattening out up top, so it's either too lean or too rich still. I can't tell what one, but up top it still kind of flattens out like it's struggling up top, but down low it feels great. The first little second gear wheelie right there, just a small one, but it feels good. So the next jet I have is a 130. So we're gonna put the 130 in, see if that makes any difference up top, because I think it is a little lean. If that's still not enough, which I think it should be about perfect, because the 125 seems to be pretty close. Then we'll do the 155, that's all I have left. I gotta pull the pilot out and see what size I put in that, and then we'll put one size bigger in that also. Okay, so that last rip was a 120 main and a 38 pilot. I put a 40 pilot in and a 130 main, so we'll see if that helps at all. Yeah, something ain't right. So I think it's too lean now, or too rich. Got a little hiccup cruising. And my front end is loose. Look at this play. This whole top part's loose. So I'm going to have to tighten that down if I can. I don't know what happened there, but I'll give her one more little rip and then maybe the pilot's got to go down, but yeah, that front end is not supposed to do that. Look at that. Huh. So yeah, I'm going to go fix that. Feels a little better in it, but I don't know, it's hard to tell. Somewhere, but that front end, I don't know what's going on with that, why that's loose, but that is not what you want. So figure out why. Is it this? Shouldn't be. Alright, we've got a 124 main jet now and a 36 pilot. So the pilot's a little smaller than the 38 I had. So tried all these. Now I'm gonna do 36, 124, take it down the street, see what it does. Hopefully something. So now it's popping again. So we gotta figure that out. It's leaner now. Didn't die there, but I didn't really rip on it too hard. So we'll see. So it still wants to die when I let off, and it still has that weird spot at the top of fifth. Not as bad as the other jet, but still there. Cruising seems okay-ish, but it's still not right. So take it back and we'll do another main jet, I guess. Look at the second gear, power. lot easier to find, which is good. But it's still feeling like it's running out of fuel. Like it can't keep up. Because I wasn't even on it fully. I was just cruising and it started to break up like it was losing fuel. So I'm thinking this valve is messing with it. It can't flow through there fast enough maybe, I don't know. But you'd think with the bowl being full, it should still, I don't know. But that time we hit 66.2 miles an hour. That's our best so far. And I wasn't even all the way through fifth, even close. Well, I haven't revved any gear out all the way yet, but so she should do 70, no problem. Once it's running with this gearing, it's 1632 because the 17 is just too close to the case with the chain for my comfort. I didn't want to run that, but it should still do 70, that's all I need. I don't need to. I wanted to try to go like 80, 90 as fast as I could, unless I can find a 30 tooth rear sprocket. I'm not gonna mess with the gearing. Thing's got power. It goes through the gears like crazy. So I think once I get this jetting down, it should be good. It just seems like it's losing its fuel, because it's fine until I really get into it or cruise where it needs fuel, and then it starts to kind of be weird. So maybe I'll take this valve off, put that straight to that, and then maybe drill a hole in the top of this for some extra venting and see if that does anything. But yeah, that was 66.2 miles an hour without even trying, so it's getting better. All right, so what I did was I drilled some more vent holes in the cap, got rid of that valve. We'll try this. Okay, so far so good. It hasn't cut out on me yet. It's a lot better so far. I'm gonna wait till I get up here. I'm gonna rip on it all the way through the gears. See what happens. Alright, we'll smash on it right here into the wing and see what happens. Okay, so that was better than the other runs. Clearly you can see that I drilled this cap and got rid of that valve. I think that's the issue, was it was starving it from fuel. The cap's a little wet because it's probably leaking out of it. So what I did was, there's a little hole for the on, and there's a little hole for the off. I drilled another hole there, and they come through the inside, right on the outside of the other vent hole. So now it's got, 3 times as much airflow as it originally did for venting the tank. I got rid of that valve. It seemed to help a lot. It's not fixed. Still kind of cuts out a little bit, but it is better. So, but yeah, this thing come right up in 3rd gear, come right up in 4th gear. Like, I barely had to pull up when I gunned it, but it's just so windy out there. Like, we did 66 not even trying earlier, and then I was going downhill in 5th, and I could barely break 62 because the wind is so bad. I'm riding at an angle. But of course, as soon as we get a nice day, it's just gotta be hurricane winds. So, kind of stupid, but so far I think I'm happy with it. I'm gonna leave it the way it is. I gotta fix that front end, why it's sloppy, and either put a spacer in there to tighten it up or figure something out with that. But I'm gonna tighten this. I forgot I never tightened the headlight. But yeah, so that'll be it for today. That was furthest I rode it so far. We went 4 miles.